In this video, we'll be going through all the buffs and equipment you can use to get the maximum damage possible. Let's start with the buffs. On screen is most of the possible buffs that you will use. If they're on the same line, then that means that they don't stack with each other. Carrot juice, steamed buns, red bean shaved ice, discs, and converters will slowly accumulate from the reward board while playing the game. Another good source of buffs is buff boxes. Buff boxes can be bought from the cash shop and contain these buffs. Steamed buns and carrot juice can also be bought in exchange for demon tokens from the demon event, which happens every day and multiple times on Sunday. For a damage dealer, you can use these buffs. This is the order in how important each buff is for your damage. You can reserve bigger buffs and rice drinks for hard content, for example skipping Swan mechanics in Swan Dungeon. You can and should use the roasted sweet potato if you're at risk of dying, so this raises your defense by 10% if you're not dying and you're doing more damage. I thought I'd mention a small section for tanks as well. You can use these buffs and also consider using strawberry juice instead of apple juice or Lilithmon so that your list will do more damage. Now I'm going to talk about equipment. I'm going to go through each piece of equipment and show you most of the viable options from starting gear to the best. A good starting point to go for is +0 clothes. I don't recommend using +1 to +8 clothes as they require repair for very little boost over +0. The next point of progression is the +9 clothes. Specifically, you'll want +9 int clothes if you want to get damage. The amount of damage that they add is far greater than almost any other upgrade in the game, with each piece giving 50 attack, plus an additional 10 attack for the top, jacket, shoes, and legs. If +0 clothes are too expensive, they can be skipped entirely while you save up for +9 clothes. After this, we have the rain set, which is a massive boost from +9 clothes. The rain set can only be obtained from payment rewards or previous cash shop packages. Rain set lasts 14 days, or 7 days from attendance, and is destroyed after the timer runs out. Dropped crests come from all different levels of Digimon. The ones from E and L level Digimon can have 80 attack. Hopefully you won't have to use these, but they are far better than nothing. As an alternative, you can use the Crest of Courage +5 that you get at the start of the game. Omegamon Crests +1 can be used if your 30-day crests expire and you need a fast replacement. Each crest loses 20 attack and 250 battle rating compared to Crest of Courage +10. But they otherwise have similar stats. Alpha +1 can also be used if accuracy and defense is not an issue. Crest of Courage +10 is received at the start of the game on a 30 days timer, and from the beginner package in the cash shop, which is permanent. Crest of Knowledge has the same stats, but loses defense for VP instead. The Crest of Courage +10 is better in almost all situations, unless you have Digimon X, but Crest of Knowledge +10 is generally easier and cheaper to get, so if you need an alternative, then you can keep that in mind, as it's got the same damage. Crest of Courage +10 is an amazing crest that's usable into very endgame content and can serve as well-rounded crests in general. Almost all people will want to buy a beginner package for these, either from another player or the cash shop. If you're a whale and want to skip straight to Royal Base crests, at least +5, then you can skip these if you really want to. As for Royal Base crests, I'll go through the advantages of each. Dynas crests are for tanks mainly. If you have a medieval Dukemon, it doubles as the best damage dealing crest in the game due to its exclusive. It can also be used with Huanglongmon to get some damage. Lord Nightmon's crest are not as good as Crest of Courage +10 until they are upgraded to around +7, which is super expensive, but it quickly ramps up after that, giving a lot of BR and attack from that point onwards. These crests are the best for Lord Nightmon X, Beelzemon X, or when accuracy is valued, in Darkness Dungeon Hard, or even when farming. At +5, Alpha Crests have 20 attack over Crest of Courage +10, lose out on defense and battle rating in return for VP. These are best used in many dungeons, as you often use Drills of Force cards that give you 100% accuracy, so the missing battle rating is not a problem. Alpha Crests don't get increased attack with each upgrade, but rather every other upgrade. You can see this chart for when they do gain attack, keep that in mind to plan your upgrades. They spike in damage at +5, +7, +9, and +10. These are best used for Digimon X, or if using Drills, Fenrir's, Avalon's Gates, Royal Knight's Force, or Fangs as attack cards. Omegamon Crests have an upgrade curve that spikes with +1 and +10, For the most part, I don't recommend them, except as a cheap crest at +1 when you no longer have Crest of Courage +10s. They can also be used with Wanglongmon, as he scales with HP. As a summary, most damage dealers will end up progressing from Crest of Courage +10 to a set of Lord Nightmons +7 or higher, and Alphamon +5 or higher. You can use Crest of Courage +10 and Alpha Crest Switch, or just high upgraded Lord Nightmon crests. Crests are not super important to upgrade until you have most of the other later upgrades. I recommend you stay with Crest of Courage +10 for quite a long time, unless your other gear is already capped out. Digimentals. Before Tamer 301, you can use Miracles +10, or Sincerity +10 if you have them, since they have Int instead of Con. Green, blue, or yellow Digimentals. The main thing we want from them is the +30 all stats. You can match the type to the Digimon you're using if you want, as they give some other stats, but they're not relevant to doing damage. Red Digimentals should match the type of your Digimon you're using. They give +30 all stats, just like the other color Digimentals, but they also give +30 attack for the Digimon of the same type. Shining Digimental of Miracles is pretty much the best Digimental in the game, outside of Spiral Mountain upgrades, which we won't go through here. You can only wear one of these, and it's dropped by the Magnamon boss in Underground 2 floor, and Magnamon X in Spiral Labyrinth. The great thing about this is that it has great stats along with 5% trait chance, which is pretty hard to come by. Digimental of Pride is good overall upgrade over the red Digimental. You can only wear one, just like the Shining Digimental, and it's dropped by Craniummon in floor 2 of Royal Base. For most Digimon, the Pride upgrade will be relatively small compared to the other best in slot Digimentals. The Digimental of Deep Sea has the same stats as Pride, but increased. You can only wear one, just like the others, and it's dropped by Leviamon in floor 6 of Water Space. Keep in mind, the last 3 Digimentals are especially good for unknown type Digimon, since those types do not have a corresponding red Digimental for attack bonus, so these Digimentals will increase attack by 30 along with the other stats, which is a massive upgrade. There are more possible upgrades from combinations from the Spiral Mountain dungeon, but since those aren't realistically attainable currently, we won't talk about them right now. Accessories before Tamer level 301, you can use the beginner set that you start with. You don't have that anymore, just wear whatever you have. It's not a huge boost. After Tamer level 301, the order goes roughly as follows. Rusty set, acquired from Royal Base, Shimmering set from Royal Base, and then Gorgeous set from Royal Base. Most will settle on Shimmering set for the longest time, since it's cheap and gives very good stats for the price. It's important to use these accessories as a set, as a lot of their power is loaded into the set bonus. Magnamon accessory set can also be used instead of Shimmering. Because of its rarity / price, it's not really worth it. The other Royal Base accessories from floor 1 aren't really worth using, considering the low price of the Rusty set and the Shimmering set. Now we're going to talk about the Obsidian Digisolid Earring, Daemon Seguru's Necklace, Nibelungen Ring. I'm going to refer to them as DDH accessories, as that's what most call them. The first progression would be DDH Earring, Omegamon Necklace, and Gorgeous Ring. It's up to preference if this is worth it for you. The stats gained over Gorgeous set are 10 attack, 50 VP, 15 strength, and the 30 damage on critical from the Omegamon's Necklace, which should work on double attack too. The only thing is, you lose 150 HP, 80 defense, and 200 BR compared to using the full Gorgeous set. DDH Earring and Omegamon Necklace and DDH Ring is slightly better, and most will use this for a while if you get to this point, since the DDH Necklace is very hard to get. You get an extra 5 all stats and 200 HP from the DDH Ring. Add in the DDH Necklace, and you get the set bonus, which adds a massive 40 attack and 20 all stats, along with some other stats as shown. The DDH Necklace is one of the rarest and most expensive items in the game. It only comes from Daemon Masaru, extremely rarely, whom you occasionally have a chance of battling after Darkness Dungeon Hard. For beginner D-Arks, Victory or Precision D-Ark, pretty good. Victory for the extra BR, or Precision for the extra card slash. Stat-wise, summoning D-Ark is the next alternative. You can recall an extra Digimon with it, and it gives 20 int. You'll probably use this to level or solo content occasionally, and will have this around even after you upgrade. The attack, defense, and stamina D-Ark have niche uses, since they have 39 slash, which is the highest in the game. The attack D-Ark has a niche use as the best first hit for Barber X, but ultimately you'll probably want to use the Greed D-Ark instead. Greed D-Ark has 5% attack, 33 slash, very good D-Ark, and currently very cheap for what it gives. The Envy D-Ark gives 5% trait chance and 33 slash, but currently, because of the price of it, it's better to go for a 1-star Demon D-Ark instead, if you wished for the 5% trait chance. Demon D-Arks are the combination of any of the 3 main D-Arks, Envy, Greed, and Sloth. The base is given the full bonus, and the secondary is given a smaller bonus, depending on the star of the D-Ark when it's fused. The fuse chance is as follows. The base is preference depending on what you're doing, what Digimon you're using, but in general, Greed base for most damage, Envy base for most consistency, to proc double attack or other traits like wind protection more. Gems are a pretty late game upgrade. They're pretty hard to get, only coming from the Swan and Baihu dungeons, which require quite good gear to be able to clear. From Swan dungeon, you can receive Kumbira, Vajra, and Vakarala gems. The Kumbira gem has 20 con, Vajra has 10 con, 1% single damage, and Vakarala has 2% single damage. Additionally, you can obtain the Swan gem from exchanging 900 of the essences that you can receive as drops in the dungeon. At upgrade 1, this gives 1% single damage and 10 con, but it can be upgraded using additional essences from the dungeon. As of the time of this video, the max Swan gem on our server is at +8, which gives 8% single damage and 80 con. Every upgrade will give 1% single damage and 10 con, up to a maximum of 10% single damage and 100 con, which is pretty huge. From the Baihu dungeon, Sindura, Makura, and Katura gems. Sindura gem gives 20 agility, Makura gives 10 agility and 1% AoE damage, and Katura gives 2% AoE damage. The Baihu gem, just like the Swan gem, can be upgraded. It gives 10 agility and 1% AoE damage at +1, up to a maximum of 100 agility and 10% AoE damage at +10. These gems can be good for Digimon that have AoE damage F3s, such as Exorus Up Marvamon. It can also be used on Ordine and Susanumon, who have extra damage exclusives on their F2, which is AoE. All these gems are mostly endgame upgrades, but Swan and Baihu gems at high upgrades are a massive boost. Consider upgrading these after the rest of your gear. All pets give +40 all stats, so it's really important to have them and kept fed to maintain the boost. Any pet is fine, they basically all give different quality of life effects, which you can decide on your own. Keep in mind Pichimon is needed if you have Beam Aura to maintain evolution state, but Pichimon can only be fed with special pet food, which has only been attainable occasionally from the cash shop. Outfits aren't important for damage. Try to have one that has 200% speed on most of the time, as it saves a lot of time running around. Effects aren't really important. The Fight Club 1st, 2nd, and 3rd each week gives 5%, 3%, or 1% attack, respectively. They're not important most of the time, but often has special effects, sometimes damage percent, for example, added during events. Most people's best spirits will be Water Bee, Fire H, and Thunder H. Here is a general list of best to worst spirits for damage. Just keep in mind that this may change in various situations, such as if you already have 100% trait chance on a Digimon, or if you're in a dungeon that disables traits. Perfect spirits have double the stats of the imperfect version, and can be made at Mud Village using 500 mil, 2 of the same imperfect spirit, and an optional up to 10 broken off fodder spirits and the 20% spirit from PvP or payment reward to increase success chance. You cannot equip more than one of the same spirit. Wind Bee and Wind H can be obtained from the reward board using 20 points each, so are nice to go for if you have no spirits or to use as fodder for creating perfect spirits. Many spirits drop rarely from various dungeon bosses in the game. These include Darkness H, B, Earth H, B, Water H and B, Wood H and B, and Steel H and B. The best time to get spirits is hard to say, but if you already have decent gear and no or low spirits, try to at least get some decent spirits that aren't too expensive before going for the best in slot ones. The bonus from spirits is quite a nice boost. Another thing to keep in mind is titles. Titles can give a massive bonus to the Digimon it is equipped to. Some good titles include Lab Hard Master, 2022 Happy Halloween Night, 2022 Happy Halloween Day, Royal Base Master, and 2021 Christmas. Try to get any title that has a good amount of trait chance or attack percent increase. which are mostly attained from premium title boxes. Along with this, your individual Digimon will also get a boost depending on how many titles it has collected. Try to slowly get to 50 or 60 for your favourite Digimon, for the plus 15 tech and 20 strength boosts, respectively. I hope this helps, and keep in mind that this isn't a progression path, but rather a measure of the strength of the equipment. Good luck on your upgrades, and thank you for watching. Bye.